welcome back to my channel. I'm Emerald the Quilter, and I'm so happy that you're here with me today, and I'm so happy to finally be filming again because I have a big announcement. If you can't tell by what's behind me, I've moved, surprise! So I have a new studio, and in today's video I want to show you how I've acclimated to my new space and give you little snippets of how I organize all of my fabrics and just my personal quilty things into what is completely different from what I have. So if you haven't seen my other videos, I used to have a loft and everything was together. Well, it's no longer that way anymore, and I'm going to show you right now. Welcome to the entrance of my new studio. I am so excited to announce that I have a long arm. I'm so excited. I purchased this long arm from someone I know, and this is a APQS Millennium 12-foot long arm that comes with CompuQuilter. You can see it down there on the floor. I have actually not been able to use the CompuQuilter because it says that the needle is up, and it's not true. And I would appreciate any suggestions, but this machine is 18 years old and it stitches beautifully. I am so grateful to have acquired this long arm. It's the size of a car. It's huge, but I am going to take very good care of it. And look at that, it comes with hydraulics so that it can go up and down depending on what I'm using it for. But I am in love. I've already quilted something and it came out pretty awful, but it's okay because I know I will get better. And then you can see that I have the most humongous design wall ever, and it goes all the way, or almost all the way, to the ceiling. It is made of insulation boards, and if you look really closely, you see those green like nail head circular things there. Those are made with roof nails. So those have like a green plastic shield on them so that it keeps the board in place, and then it's just a regular nail. So those nails are what roofers use to keep your shingles up, and they worked out perfectly to keep my design boards up on the wall. And you can see that beautiful play of light there. That's from the water because I have a beautiful view in my studio. So I feel fortunate to be able to work in this space. This is the master bedroom, and I am going to show you how to create a design wall or a design board using these. So that is what I used, and it is a insulation styrofoam board that is from Home Depot, or maybe it was Lowe's, but you can get them at any hardware store, and I get like the high density one. Don't get the foam one with like packaging material that's like the white and crumbly. But I have two more design walls, and I'm just gonna scoot my camera over. It's on the stand because I can't seem to figure out, even after all this time, how to get the motion sensor so it won't make people nauseous. Anyways, this is the mini design wall. It's just one insulation board cut in half, and I love this because it fills the space. It helps me keep track of what pieces I'm sewing together, and I just decorated it with some blocks that I have going on right now. And let's see, what am I working on? I have been, because of the move and just how crazy it's been, I've been kind of in a muck. So this has made me really happy and has just filled the void of not having as much quilting time as normal because of all the unpacking. It's my, what I'm gonna call my Scrappy September quilt, which is something I follow along every year from the Fat Quarter Shop. And this pattern, let me just walk around, is called the Spare Squares quilt from the Lori Holt Scrappiness is Happiness book, and I'm just in the process of this because it's mindless sewing and it just brings me peace. So I know there are other quilts and projects that I should be working on, like my show quilt that is on the wall. And oops, I meant to keep that a secret. Oh well. Okay, so anyways, here is the view of the water, and what I love about this room is that the sunlight never directly comes into this room. And there's this like beautiful floral tree, and for the most part it's pretty quiet outside. I don't really see too many of the neighbors, but it's just nice because there's like ducks and turtles and lizards will crawl around on this screen of the window, so it's very relaxing in here. And off to the other side of my sewing studio, of course I have my computer and whatnot, but over here is my little corner where I will from now on be filming all of my sets and another design wall. So that's the other half of the insulation board, and I do plan on making that video to show you all, which is why I have that gray one that's not wrapped yet, but just stay tuned for that because I will be coming out with a video for it. I have acquired a new adoption on how I organize my fabric because although I am in a similar space as far as square footage goes, the long arm takes up like half of the room, and so it's cramped, and I've had to learn how to live in a small space, so to speak. So I will be going over how to organize your studio in small spaces just because it's the nature of my studio now. I'm in a bigger space, but that long arm, it just takes up so much room. So in this bookshelf, I used to keep my quilts, and I now organize my buttons into this cute little like muffin cake decoration thing that I bought at Magnolia Silos on the way to Oklahoma over this summer, and best purchase ever because it fits all my buttons and my notions and my little knickknacks. And I also organized, of course, I keep my pre-cuts close to me because I love pre-cuts. So on that top shelf on the left, I have my fat quarter bundles that are, for the most part, unopened. Some of them are opened, but I like to keep them looking really pretty because if something is pretty, I'm more likely to use it. And then on the right side, you can probably tell that those are layer cakes, so 10-inch layer cakes, and I've got a nice stack there ready to go for when I host a quilt along with the Perfect 10 Quilts book, which I plan to do. Of course, I will reach out to Fat Quarter Shop to get their blessing, just like I did with the Perfect 5 Quilts book. And on the second shelf, I have my little brownish baskets, and those are kind of a mix. So those have fat quarters, jelly rolls that are partially opened and just kind of laying flat, stacks of mini charm squares, and they're just mostly pre-cuts, but you know, they're organized in a way that they can sit nice and cozy in there. And then there is my brown basket with my charm pack squares, my 5-inch charm pack squares, and that is more than full. It is stacked to the top and overflowing. Even though I'm hosting a quilt along with charm squares, I seem to have acquired more instead of less. And on the third shelf, I have a new bobbin winder. That bobbin winder was really tricky to use, and it's for the long arm bobbins. Of course, some of my favorite fabrics, of course, I keep next to me, and I'm gonna have to get a little closer and go around because you can't see. Let's see if I won't bump the table legs. Okay, so this looks like it'll be okay. There are, on the second to the bottom, my half-yard bundles, which you've seen before if you've watched my like organizing video series of my previous studio. My books, which I love to keep handy to find inspiration, and I have not changed the way I organize my scraps at all. So I used to organize my fabric like alcohol. I had top shelf fabric, which I literally kept on the top shelf, and then bottom shelf fabric, but now it's organized with like my pre-cuts that are out here visible in the room, the master bedroom of the studio, and then I have all my other fabrics in the master bedroom closet. So we're going to go, oh, and then this is a quilt that I will show you at the end, so make sure you watch all the way to the end. It's one of the quilts that I had quilted by my good friend Lois Kinley, and it needs binding. So that is from the Perfect 5 Quilts book by It's So Emma. So I will show that to you. Binding is there in that purple, and of course right there, that stack of white fabric. That is the quilt that I was supposed to be working on over this summer, and then life happened. So there's my studio. It's cramped, but totally worth it. You can see that because this is a small space, so to speak, I had to hang my iron, and I don't think I pointed it out. Ooh, I'm gonna have to squeeze back here in between the long arm and the stand. Okay, I had to get my little like TV table to keep my iron close to me up against that wall, because having the iron board open was just a lot. So from now on, I'm going to be using this little table with my wool mat, and then when I'm ironing big pieces, I'll bring out the ironing board. But it's sort of just like new room, new rules for efficiency and functionality. So in there, those double doors, is the master bedroom, bathroom, and closet. And we're gonna skip the bathroom. There's nothing interesting in there, but we will go to the closet. And with that, I just want you to remember, there is no such thing as too much fabric. So there is no judging here, okay guys? No judging. This is the master bedroom closet, and I wanted to start out here because I want you to see that it could be the tiniest little bedroom, and I know that because it's separate, it's not like a true, I don't know, I guess what I'm used to, like a true studio, but I had no choice. I had to accommodate to the new space, and I have things organized differently than what I used to. So right now, all of my books and memorabilia and my fabric and my yarn and arts and crafts and paints and just everything, they're just all together, right? And if you've watched my other videos, I've had nothing but, really nothing but fabric in this IKEA shelf here in this cubby. And I've had to donate some to the guild because, you know, they always have the most wonderful treasure table, and I take things and most of it is scraps, and so that goes into my scrap bins. And then I have prepared a huge box. You see right there it says U-line. That box is filled with fabrics that I've had well over 5 or 7 years that I am gifting to my oldest niece for Christmas. And if you're watching, Rika, Merry Christmas. I don't think I can keep it a secret even if I wanted to. And to the left of the cubby, I have these wonderful storage units that were gifted to me by my very good friends Susan and Scott, and they're stackable. I think they're typically used for the garage, but I've added my yarn, and I've also gifted yarn to some coworkers because there are some avid crocheters at my workplace, and I just don't crochet. So, you know, I had to purge a little bit, not too much. and just make space and organize things differently. The paint up here is from a class that I taught over the summer. I taught a barn quilting class, so if you guys are interested in learning how to paint barn quilts, I could show you how to do that. Just let me know in the comments below. In this basket and bag are pre-cuts, no, excuse me, not pre-cuts. These are scraps that don't fit into my scrap bin, and I don't know what to do with them, so they're just there. But I have to mention that, do you see like these whiteboard things with the holes? Okay, so those used to be these guys, like hanger rods. I don't know what they're called. They're rods. And in order to get the cubby and the tables, and there was a rod literally right here, and I bumped my head on it so hard it hurt. I had to remove it. And the way I made space was removing the rods so that the furniture could go flush up against the wall, and then I left the rest because they're not really in the way, and it worked out. So on this side are all of my quilts, and well, not all of them. They're the ones that I have in here. I have more quilts that I am using as decoration. Usually like, I don't know, maybe 10 out in the rest of the house. And once the house is organized, I'm more than happy to show you how I use my quilts to decorate my home. But for now, you know, we're just gonna stick to the closet. So here is my quinceañera dress. If you haven't been able to tell by now, I am Hispanic. Surprise! So that's my quinceañera dress. It's a little torn on the bottom and the zipper's broken because one day I decided I want to try it on, and you know, I wasn't little anymore and it broke. So if I ever have a daughter, I'll get it fixed, or maybe my nieces. But I'm saving it, and here are my quilt tops that need quilting. I may have shown them before, but I love this hanger system because it keeps wrinkles away, and it's just beautiful to look at. So I love those. And here is just like space for storage, right? Because this is a pretty decent size closet. So I've got my son's crib, which I am not ready to get rid of. One of my son's favorite toys, he used to push this and run around and underneath the table in my studio while I was sewing and cutting fabric. And of course this ladder that I used to get up and down on those design walls. So here is the closet and how I've organized everything. If we take a deep look at some of these little, they're like fabric baskets. I had to reorganize them by color and refold them so that they like fill this up and stay more stiff. I tried to do that with all of them. This one is, of course, like a little bit more flimsy, but by just keeping everything compact, I'm able to get more. And then some things I didn't have a space for, so it's just like on top of something else, right? But that's how I organized and made the most of my space. I have not really met all of my goals this year, and I will go into it, but with, you know, the move happening when it did, and you know, just the time it takes to pack up, move, unpack, clean, and you know, purging and clean some more, it's just taken a long time. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this little space here. Oh, and then something I need to bring in here that is not in here is my roll of batting. So now that I am a long arm owner, well, I mean, I've had batting rolls before, but I bought one that is even better now, and it doesn't have like that fusible webbing. So here's the first quilt that I want to show you. This is called the Pizzelle quilt, and this quilting is a Baptist fan, I believe. This was quilted by my friend Lois, and I really love this quilting because it doesn't take away from all of the different colors and just the scrappiness of this quilt, because this was meant to be a scrappy quilt, and I used leftover charm squares to piece this one, and so I'm really happy with it. It needs binding, of course. Here's the backing, very fun, and I have this one, which you saw earlier on the table. This, I believe, is called the Pinwheel Cookie Quilt, and this is another quilt from the Perfect 5 Quilts book by It's So Emma, and the quilting on this really brings it to life because it's got so much movement and the swirls, and it kind of looks like a flower, and if you look really close, those threads of those stitches are like a dark peach, and it doesn't really even notice, like it doesn't pop out in the back, and so it's just beautiful. I love it. You can see that I've trimmed away, I've squared up this quilt. I mean, I don't really take time squaring up my quilts. I just, as it is where I cut, right? And so I'm going to be binding this one first because this is the older of the two, I believe. And I'm a little embarrassed to show you this next one because this is the quilt that I quilted. It's the first quilt that I have quilted on the long arm machine, and it is so hard to quilt on the long arm machine freehand. I picked something too difficult. This is just some yardage, baby fabric with like wedding ring little circles, and you can see I was not able to stay on the line. Whoops! And I learned that it's really easy to go horizontal on the long arm and vertical. So you have your X and your Y axis, your motors, right? But as soon as you try to go diagonal or like swirl, it's like a staircase. You have to be super sturdy, and it works better if you go faster. And on top of all that, I learned that this is not meant to be done freehand. This is meant to be done with rulers. This is ruler work, and I didn't know any better, and I reached out to my friends and like, what am I doing wrong? I can't get it done. I'm like, hey, that's for ruler work. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. And like, well, first of all, these circles are too big. You can't, you know, it's meant to be done with rulers. And so there's the back. I could not stay on the line, I know, but it is a memory now and something I'm gonna keep forever. I initially thought that I would be gifting this to comforters at the Guild, and first of all, I'm not pleased with my quilting, and then secondly, it's my first one and I want to keep it so that I can have a story of my growth. So the Christmas quilt that's on the long arm right now, that is from the comforters table, and I do know how to freehand on domestic machine because I've done that for years. And if I can't get CompuQuilter to work just one more time, because there's one last thing that I have to try, then I will remove the locking system from CompuQuilter and I will freehand it because I know how to do that. So it will be okay. I will use my long arm one way or another. I'll figure it out. But it's been taking, it's been a big learning curve. So, you know, I'm in a transition in my quilty life right now. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this tour of my new cramped studio. Lots of fun and exciting things, and I really can't wait to see you next time. I know I've really dropped the ball on my videos, but such is life. I had to move, and so here I am. So until next time, remember to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!